Well, let's break this all down with Bill D'Agostino. He's a research analyst at the Media Research Centre in the United States. Bill, the only way I could describe what I watched today, to me, it looked like a train wreck.
Honestly, I would call it a bit of a political Rorschach test, Steve. You'd be surprised how many people on the left are, for some reason, feeling revitalized by this. Although I think that for most people who have been aware of Biden's state for some time and for whom the debate 2 Thursdays ago wasn't a shock to the system, yeah, we see this as just another part of the pattern, right? This is a man who is very much in mental decline. He's very much not all there. We saw him confuse the name of his opponent with his vice president. We saw him call Zelenskyy Vladimir Putin. So yeah, I would agree with you personally that it was a train wreck, but believe it or not, there are some people who are actually seeing this as hopeful for Biden.
Gee, they would have to be highly optimistic and way out to the left to think like that, I'd imagine. I mean, it wasn't just calling Zelenskyy Putin, which was bad enough. He then walks back out on another stage with a new set of flags and, as you say, confuses Kamala Harris with Donald Trump. If I was one of his advisors sitting out the back thinking this was going to save the campaign, I would have been throwing chairs at the TV.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the real sticking point here is that in general, he stayed on message and it resembled something of a campaign speech. There weren't quite as many, I mean, I know it's not supposed to be a campaign speech, but that's essentially what it was. And there weren't quite as many horrifying trail off moments where even if you dislike Biden, you're sitting there rooting for him to finish the sentence, like we saw in the debate. And so because of that, I think that this is actually kind of the worst of all worlds for Democrats, because although he does look fairly frail, he still looked surprisingly somewhat better than he did a couple of weeks ago. And I don't think that there was any one disastrous moment that somebody can clip and point to and say, see, this man is senile, this man is gone. And so because of that, it doesn't do enough to instill confidence in, I think, the general public, but there's also not quite enough there to be the straw that broke the camel's back for the Democrats behind the scenes to actually remove him from the presidential race, as I think many of them would very much like to do.
Yeah, they're going to have to start being honest with themselves, I think. I wouldn't normally play a grab as long as this, but to the point you're making, and let's put aside the confusion over people's names, have a listen here to how Biden loses his train of thought.
This is, well, anyway, investment in Russia. I mean, in China. I'm catching hell from my wife for that. Anyway, whether or not he should be attacked. For example, should Zelenskyy? He's not. If he had the capacity to strike Moscow, you'll see that our military is working. I'm following the advice of my commander-in-chief, like I said, when unions do better, everybody does better.
Bill, that's the leader of the free world.
Ostensibly. I think really what this kind of conjures up in people's minds is who is the leader of the free world at this point? Because I genuinely do not believe that it's this man, right? He might be rubber stamping the bills. He might be officially passing the executive orders, but in reality, America doesn't really have a democratically elected president right now. What we have is a puppet and then a group of unelected people essentially sliding policy across his desk, possibly even including the First Lady.
Bill, I live in a country that relies on you, on the United States, as our chief ally. And without you, we're an open door to an aggressive China. You've got Russia invading Ukraine. You've got the Middle East on the brink. Please give me some confidence that there's someone there running the defence strategies of the United States so that I can sit here and at least feel half safe.
Well, I can definitely assure you that there are people pulling the strings as far as our defense budget, our defense coordination, operations with other countries, et cetera. However, it's not necessarily the people most folks would like to see pulling those strings, right? I mean, Antony Blinken comes to mind. For all intents and purposes, I think it's probably realistic to say that on all issues pertaining to foreign policy, Antony Blinken is our acting president. I suppose that offers you as much reassurance as however good you feel about Antony Blinken, that's how much reassurance it can offer you.
Look, I'm not really confident in Donald Trump either. I mean, he's hit out at Biden. He's slammed him for calling Kamala Harris Trump. He doesn't need to do anything. He just has to sit back and watch the train wreck. I think someone quoted Napoleon today, don't interfere when your enemy's losing the war on his own.
Absolutely. Yeah, never interrupt your opponent when he's making a mistake. I think that Trump is showing a remarkably uncharacteristic amount of restraint over the past couple of weeks. And in fact, the media have very much caught on to this, and they've been complaining that Trump is not really doing anything, right? He's had the occasional rally. He's still writing on Truth Social, but he's not coming out and making these bombastic statements. He hasn't really been shaking things up all that much. I mean, he spoke with Viktor Orban, right? But there's not a whole lot going on in Trump world right now. And that's kind of forcing the media to either talk about the absence of Trump kind of indignantly, or deal with the mess that they in many ways made. Because I'll remind your viewers, our media were very much complicit in attempting to hide Biden's physical and mental condition from the entire world.
Bill, I won't hold you to it, but just finally, does Joe Biden make it to the convention?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he does. I've been saying that. I said that right after the debate. I was saying it well before the debate. And I'm going to stick to my guns on that one. I might end up eating crow. Who knows? But that's the sense that I have. I don't think that they can truly reliably force him out unless there is another appearance as truly disastrous as that debate 2 Thursdays ago. And thus far, he has not delivered that.